Right, hello everybody. Today we are taking the next step in chapter 2 and looking at ratios and proportions. So, let's start off with this little question. Think about the perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Sorry if you have allergies, I don't mean to trigger you, but if we did have the perfect peanut butter and jelly sandwich, first question, crunchy peanut butter or creamy peanut butter? The correct answer is crunchy. Number 2, what do you think is the perfect ratio of peanut butter to jelly? Are you a 50-50 type person, or do you lean more on the jelly or a little bit more on the peanut butter? All right, these are just questions to get you thinking about the idea of a ratio. What's a ratio? Ratio is just a comparison of two different numbers. So if there's 30 people at a party and 20 are girls and 10 are guys, you've got a 20-to-10 ratio. And we often write ratios in a way that looks like a fraction. We can simplify them like a fraction, but unlike a fraction, we would never take 2 over 1 and make it into just a 2, because the whole point of a ratio is it's supposed to be two different numbers combined together. So yeah, we can also say ratios in the form of the word 2 to 1 or with a colon, 2:1. So it can be written as a fraction using a colon or the word 2. 2-to-1 ratio. A rate is a type of a ratio. A rate is a ratio, rate, ratio, those words are similar for a reason. But a rate compares quantities in different units. So instead of people compared to people, we might have like 5 pizzas for 20 people, or $4.99 for 96 ounces of orange juice versus $2.59 for 64 ounces of orange juice. And with those rates, which orange juice is the better deal? This is where a unit rate comes in handy. We don't want to talk about how much it costs for 96 ounces or how much it costs for 64 ounces. A unit rate will tell us how much per ounce. And you find the unit rate by simply doing top divided by bottom. And on this case, you had to round a little bit if you want to check these with your calculator. But this unit rate tells you which orange juice is a better deal. For instance, it's 1 cent cheaper per ounce to get the smaller orange juice. So unit rates help us compare different rates by shrinking them down to a denominator of 1. All right, so we got those basic ideas. I think let's talk about cars. All right, so when I was a young single man, I used to have a Chevy S10 pickup truck. I used to drive around kind of not the best cars, used cars, inherited cars, but when I kind of started working after college, I had enough money to buy myself a brand new shiny black Chevy S10 pickup truck. And at that time, I felt pretty great about myself. And I'm not going to say that the truck is the reason, but before I got the truck, I was single. After I got the truck, I got married. So, maybe, probably not. But you know what happens when you get married? Sooner or later, maybe kids are going to come along. And that happened in my case as well. And that's when the truck had to go, because where are you supposed to put the car seat in that pickup truck? It doesn't work. Not a family car. So eventually I had to make the transition to a sensible Toyota Corolla sedan with 4 doors that could be a more family-friendly car. And I was sacrificing my masculinity a little bit there, but it was the right choice for my family. I did think, though, that at least by getting this family-friendly car, maybe I would be saving some money on gas. Now, my old truck, I could get 300 miles on 15 gallons. The Toyota Corolla had a smaller gas tank, so I couldn't go quite as many miles, but I was wondering which one gets better miles per gallon. So I did the math, and apparently I sacrificed my masculinity for only 0.8 miles per gallon. But thank you, unit rates, for demoralizing me. Unit rates are really helpful for comparing two different rates. All right, now we got to talk about proportional relationships. A ratio is when you compare two different numbers, like 20-to-10. A proportion is a set of two equal ratios. So 20 over 10 is the same as 34 over 17. How are those the same? How can you tell if two ratios are equal, aka proportional? Well, if we reduce them both and they simplify to the same ratio, then they must be proportional. Pretty simple concept there. Okay, just reduce them both and see if they match. If they match, they're proportional. If they don't, they're not. Now, when you have proportional relationships like this, there's something magical about them. Have you ever heard of cross products before? We can cross multiply, and the cross products should be equal as well. So 20 times 17 equals 34 times 10. They both come out to 340. These cross products should be equal. If the two ratios are proportional, then the cross products will be equal. So is 3/4 equal to 75 out of 100? I think we all know that it is, but check to see. 3 times 100, is that the same as 4 times 75? It is. So yay, those are proportional. Practice problem number 1, pause this video right now and tell me, is 2/8 proportional or equal to 24 out of 100? The answer to that was no, by the way. Now we can use the idea of cross multiplying to finally solve some things. Like if 2/5 is equal to something out of 10, we can use cross products to set up an equation, because 5 times x must equal 10 times 2, and then we have an equation that we can solve and get a solution. Sometimes you can do it with mental math. Oh, like v must equal 16. Sometimes it's a little bit more challenging, and you probably need to do it step by step in writing with a calculator. So take a moment and see if you can figure this one out. All right, what about that? Ooh, now we're talking Math 8A Algebra 1 status problem here. You're going to have to cross multiply, but you're going to have to use the distributive property here. See if you can figure that one out and see what you get. Is it solvable? I think it is. All right, that's what we're talking about today, solving proportion equations and understanding ratios, rates, unit rates, and proportions. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.